Hello and welcome back to Game a Movie Recap channel. Today we're going to tell you the storyline of a 2019 action thriller movie starring Liam Neeson titled Cold Pursuit, telling us about a snowplow driver who is considered old and weak, but it turns out he can eliminate the drug mafia. And so, without further ado, let's get straight to the video.
But before we start, please support our channel by subscribing and click the bell icon for future notifications. Now, let's start.
In the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to a man named Nels Coxman. Nels has a wife named Grace and a son named Kyle. Nels works as a snowplow driver in the town of Keogh, Colorado. Meanwhile, Kyle works at the local airport in the same town. Nels is shown to be very fond of Kyle, his only child. The next day, Nels attends an event held by his company, where he receives an award as the exemplary employee. At the same time, it turns out that Kyle cannot accompany Nels because he is busy at work. After finishing his work, Kyle is suddenly confronted and abducted by two unknown individuals. They force Kyle into their car. Inside the car, Kyle is still puzzled about what he has done wrong. Dant, Kyle's friend, is also seen inside the vehicle, being held captive alongside him. The two strangers inject a substance into Kyle, causing him to lose consciousness. Witnessing this, Dante tries to free himself from the bindings, and he eventually manages to escape. In the morning, the two individuals took Kyle to a park. They seated Kyle on a park bench and put sunglasses on him to make it appear as if he were sitting there casually. After they left, it was discovered that Kyle had died as a result of the substance injected the previous day. Shortly after that, Grace rushed to find Nels, who was working at the time. Grace informed him that the hospital had just called and conveyed the news that their son, Kyle, had passed away. Upon hearing this, Nels was in shock and hurried to go to the hospital. When he arrived, Nels still couldn't believe that his beloved son was no longer alive. Here the doctor explained that Kyle had died from overdosing on illegal drugs, but Nels, who knew his son well, couldn't believe that Kyle would have taken drugs. A few days later, Nels went to his weapons shed. He was still deeply depressed over the death of his son, Kyle, feeling like he had failed as a father. He was even contemplating ending his own life with his firearms. However, Dante suddenly arrived and prevented him from doing so. Dante, burdened by guilt for Kyle's death, apologized and confessed everything. Previously, Dante had stolen a bag containing narcotics and was caught by two individuals the day before. While being interrogated, Dante, in a state of extreme fear, wrongly implicated Kyle, who happened to be present at the scene. Dante claimed that Kyle had instructed him, even though Kyle had no knowledge of the narcotics. Because of this, Kyle was arrested, and they overdosed him with illegal drugs to ensure he would die. Dante managed to escape and had been hiding in this shed since. Hearing this, Nels became furious and choked Dante, demanding to know who was responsible for Kyle's death. Dante revealed that the person behind it was named Speedo. After obtaining this information, Nels immediately went to a club, often used for drug transactions. Upon arrival, Nels entered and pretended to want to buy drugs from Speedo until he was taken by one of Speedo's henchmen to meet him. Upon meeting, Nels immediately assaulted Speedo until he was severely beaten. When Speedo was on the brink of death, Nels took him into a car for interrogation. Here, Nels revealed that he was the father of the person Speedo had killed the day before. Speedo, terrified, confessed that he had been ordered by someone named Limbo. Upon learning this information, Nels promptly killed Speedo and disposed of his body in a river near his home. Shifting to a man named Trevor, it is known that Trevor is a major drug kingpin in the city. He is seen accompanying his child to school when he receives news that one of his henchmen, Speedo, has been killed. However, he doesn't seem to be too concerned about this news. Back to Nels, upon returning home, he notices that his wife Grace is still depressed due to Kyle's death. Nels then goes to the shed and prepares weapons to eliminate Limbo, the person who ordered Speedo to kill his son. After making all the preparations, Nels visits a dress shop. It turns out the shop owner is Limbo. Nels pretends to be buying a dress for his wife. Limbo, who has a bad feeling, immediately reaches for a gun under the table to shoot Nels. Unfortunately, before Limbo can shoot, Nels gets the jump on him. Nels tortures Limbo until he surrenders. Then, Nels asks if it's true that Speedo was working for Limbo. In fear, Limbo admits that he was also ordered by someone named Santa, who lives near the airport. Upon getting this information, Nels ruthlessly kills Limbo on the spot. On the other hand, Trevor is seen having an argument with his ex-wife over the custody of their child. This is due to a custody battle they're engaged in. Trevor states that he will do whatever it takes to gain custody of his child, emphasizing how much he wants and cares for the child. Moving on to Nels, he is seen heading to the area near the airport to find Santa. Upon arriving there, Nels spots Santa about to leave in a car. Nels follows Santa using his snowplow truck. Nels then cuts Santa off to stop his car. After successfully stopping him, Nels approaches Santa. Santa, thinking Nels is there to rob him, offers him money. However, Nels quickly attacks Santa. Nels pulls Santa out of the car and continues to beat him. After satisfying his desire for revenge, Nels pulls out a gun and asks if Santa was the one who ordered Limbo to kill Kyle. Santa, in his dying breath, reveals that the mastermind behind all of this is Trevor. Without hesitation, Nels kills Santa as well. Following this, Nels goes to see his friend Brock Wingman Coxman. Nels approaches Brock because he knows that Brock used to work for Trevor's father. Nels asks Brock how to take down Trevor. Brock responds that it's almost impossible to get to Trevor as he has a lot of henchmen and tight security. Brock suggests that Nels should hire a hitman instead. On the other hand, Trevor receives news that 3 of his henchmen have been killed. Furious in believing that his rival White Bull is responsible for these deaths, Trevor takes action. It's worth noting that in this city, there are 2 major crime bosses. Trevor controls the Western Territory, while White Bull controls the eastern part. Trevor orders some of his men to kidnap White Bull's only child. Long story short, Trevor's henchmen successfully kidnap White Bull's child. To replace the 3 henchmen he lost, Trevor wastes no time in killing White Bull's child. Afterward, he hangs the child's body on a street sign as a message to White Bull, suggesting that this is retaliation for the deaths of his henchmen and to deter White Bull from further confrontations. A few days later, White Bull, who has just learned about his child's murder, questions why Trevor would do such a thing. White Bull, who believes he had no issues with Trevor, is determined to seek revenge against him. Returning to Nels, he is now with the contract killer recommended by his friend Brock. Nels speaks to the contract killer, using the last name Coxman, and pays him to eliminate Trevor. Shortly after that, the contract killer approaches Trevor. However, it turns out that the contract killer is one of Trevor's henchmen. He informs Trevor that he was ordered by someone named Coxman to kill him. After learning this, Trevor recalls someone named Brock Wingman Coxman, who used to work with his father. Trevor goes to meet Brock, suspecting that Brock Coxman is the one who ordered the contract killer. Then, Trevor takes Brock to a location under the pretense of giving him a job. However, during the journey, Trevor's henchman kills Brock. In short, Brock has been buried. Nels, who is at the gravesite, realizes that Trevor was the one who killed Brock. After killing Brock, Trevor now intends to apologize to White Bull for killing his son. Trevor thinks that it wasn't White Bull who killed his 3 henchmen but Brock. However, one of Trevor's henchmen advises against apologizing as it would be in vain. But sadistically, Trevor shoots and kills his henchman for daring to give him advice. He does this because Trevor considers his henchman disrespectful for offering advice. Afterward, Trevor orders another henchman to deliver the head of the henchman he just killed to White Bull. Trevor does this as a gesture of apology for the death of White Bull's son. However, White Bull responds that a child must be paid for the child, and shortly thereafter, he kills Trevor's henchman. Moving back to Nels, he finally takes a daring step to visit Trevor's home secretly to find a way to eliminate him. From a distance, Nels sees that there are several people guarding Trevor's house. Then, Nels notices a school address sticker on Trevor's car window. This is when Nels discovers that Trevor actually has a school-going child, and he sees an opportunity to seek revenge. The scene shifts to the school, where White Bull's henchmen are planning to kidnap Trevor's child. Unfortunately for them, Nels beats them to it and takes Trevor's child away in a van. When White Bull's henchmen see this, they immediately give chase. Meanwhile, Trevor learns that his child has been kidnapped and brings a school security guard to his home to inquire about the incident. The security guard identifies and reveals the identity and residence of the man responsible, Nels Coxman, who turns out to be a former Special Forces soldier now working as a snowplow driver. Upon hearing this information, Trevor finally realizes that the one who killed his 3 henchmen and kidnapped his child is not White Bull or Brock Coxman, but Nels Coxman himself. Trevor and his men rush to Nels' residence. Nels seems prepared for their arrival, but when he attempts to shoot Trevor, he is first confronted at gunpoint by Trevor's men. As they are about to execute Nels, White Bull's group suddenly arrives, launching an attack on Trevor's men, resulting in a shootout. Seeing many of his men fall, Trevor attempts to escape in a car, but Nels intercepts him by crashing his snowplow into Trevor's vehicle. Trevor tries to escape again using another car, but Nels once again prevents him, this time using a tractor. The tractor overturns a tree, trapping Trevor's car and rendering it immobile. Then White Bull arrives from the front and shoots Trevor dead. After Nels considers his revenge fulfilled, he leaves into snowplow. However, White Bull appears outside, holding a gun, but instead of hostility, he asks for a ride from Nels. They eventually leave together, and the movie concludes. What do you think of this movie? Write your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, did you enjoy the recap? Hit the like button if you liked it, subscribe if you loved it, and feel free to share this content with your friends and family as well. Check out our channel to find various movie recaps of your liking, and turn on the notifications to stay updated with our future videos. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.